A while back I created the DIY volume control pedal project. It's viewed by thousands of people and they gave me feedback. They said it's a little complicated to build and after a while using it, it can get a little wonky. So I took another approach. I used a linear pot instead of a rotary pot and I had the foot pedal slide back and forth instead of going up and down. Since the foot pedal was connected directly to the linear pot, it eliminated the complicated construction and it also prevented it from getting wonky. However, most people are still used to an up and down volume pedal. Now lately I've been playing out and I find I need a volume pedal to control the stereo output on my keyboard. So I took the up and down motion of the original volume control pedal and coupled it with the direct drive and ease of construction of the flat top, and I made it stereo. And what resulted is what I call the tower pedal. I call it that because the protrusion on the front sort of looks like a tower. It's easy and inexpensive to build, and I've been using it as I've been playing out and it works really well. So I'll stop talking and let's start building one. All the dimension information you need is right here. The 1/4 tempered hardboard parts start with the two sides that are mirror images of each other. Then we have some small parts that are the top and the back. We also have the front, which holds the two stereo connectors. We have the slide pot holder, which of course holds the slide pot. And we have the slide mover front, which is going to allow the foot pedal to move the linear pot slider up and down. A length of 1/4 inch dowel creates a pivot point for the foot pedal itself. And that foot pedal is made of 1/2 inch MDF with the dimensions shown here. Using 3/4 inch pine, we make a slide mover that the slide mover cover is attached to. We also made 4 foot pedal brackets that will support the foot pedal. Out of 1/2 inch MDF, we make the bottom. Then we take 3/4 pine, cut it down to 1/2, and make these 2 side brackets. Now here are all the pieces laid out. There are the foot pedal brackets, the linear pot holder, the front, the 2 sides, the dowel, the back, the top, and the 2 side brackets. They're all sitting on the bottom. And there's the foot pedal itself with the slide mover and the slide mover front. Now there's the linear pot holder, and you noticed I've drilled the 4 holes that were required, and I'm putting a new blade into my box cutter because I want a nice, fresh, sharp new blade. Now previously I've used a straight edge to connect the sides of the 2 larger holes to outline the slot that we're going to cut out using the box cutter, and that's what the linear pot slide is going to slide in. So we get that straight edge again, and we'll use it to make the initial cut. Again, being very careful because that's a sharp blade, and we don't want the blade to wander off of the line either. Once we're finished with the first one, we'll reposition the straight edge and we'll make the second cut. Now with those cuts made, we really don't need the straight edge anymore. We just have to follow the trough that was made by the blade in the box cutter. But we have to be very careful because it's very sharp. We don't want it to move out and cut our finger or create a funny cut. After a while of cutting, we can get part of that out, and we just continue along diligently until most of it's cut out. Now you can see at this point I've cut about halfway through. So I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to continue cutting, taking my time, and when I'm done I can just push that out and I have the nice slot that I want. A little sanding to make it nice and smooth, and we're ready to go. Okay. Now the case is assembled just with glue and some clamps to hold everything in place until the glue dries. And you might notice that I've used some of the parts to hold the sides perpendicular to the bottom. Otherwise, when you put the clamps on, the sides may bend in, and that's not going to work. You might also notice that I've already drilled the holes in the side for the 1/4-inch dowel. Now we're going to leave that for at least a half an hour, maybe an hour, until all that dries. And when that dries, it's going to look like this. Now I've also put in the side brackets and the foot pedal brackets. Foot pedal brackets and the 1/4-inch dowel I put in temporarily because I still have to machine the foot pedal brackets. But those side pedal brackets will help support the front and the top. And they're just glued in and clamped just like everything else. I also put in the back and a linear pot holder, and they're glued in as well. And now I'm going to glue on the top. And at this point I'm just checking the fit for the front to make sure it's going to fit nice. So everything is glued in. I've put everything together, and this is the way it looks when it's done. There's the front. I've used 4 screws to attach it to the side supports. And those can just be 1/2-inch screws of any type. When I take that front off, you notice that I've test fitted in the linear pot. And you notice the linear pot doesn't have a whole lot of space on the top and bottom, but it fits very nicely. And it's secured on the other side by 1/4-inch machine screws that go through the remaining 2 holes on the linear pot holder. Now to see how everything works, let's take the foot pedal off. And it's only held in by those 2 screws. And those are 1 1/4-inch drywall screws that I was using. And you notice the screw holes are in the positions that were shown earlier. And they're countersunk so that the head of the screw is flush with the surface of the pedal. And that 1 screw holds the slide pedal mover. It is not glued onto the pedal. As you can see, I glued the slide mover front onto the slide mover. And then I centered the whole assembly onto the pedal, moved it back maybe 1/16 of an inch from the pedal's edge, and secured it with that drywall screw. The setback will ensure that the slide mover won't rub against the linear pot holder when the pedal goes up and down. And there are the 4 foot pedal brackets. And you notice the chamfers are placed on the top on the outside ones, and on the bottom, facing the back, on the inside ones. The 2 outside ones are glued to the case now, so that 1/4-inch dowel cannot move back and forth. But the 2 inside holders move freely on the dowel and allow the foot pedal to pivot back and forth. And there's the slider itself. And those are the 1/4-inch machine screws that I talked about that hold it. So I'm taking it back out now because I'm going to have to do some more work. And I bought these number 440 by 1/4-inch long machine screws at Home Depot. But of course you can get them at Lowe's or any other large outlet. And there you go. Now the machine screws that come with the linear pot are a little too short. That's why I had to buy the 1/4-inch long screws. Everything's glued together. That's the back. Everything's ready to go. So it's about time to start doing the electrical work. And there's the actual wiring with the 2 stereo jacks, the linear pot, and the 2 capacitors, all of which I purchased from All Electronics over the web. And that's their URL there. And here's the different parts. The 100 picofarad capacitors, the 1/4-inch stereo jacks, and the audio taper slide pot. And there are all the different catalog numbers if you'd like to use them. Now what we have to do is just assemble them as was on the wiring diagram, which I've done. And now we can place them back into the front cover. And we secure the stereo jacks with the washers and the nuts that came with them. Position them tighten them down. And then we can put the linear slide pot back into the case and secure it again with the two 440 by 1/4 inch machine screws. Then we attach the front panel with the 4 screws, and I use number 6 by 1/2 inch long sheet metal screws. And finally we attach the foot pedal by pushing the slide mover onto the linear pot slide and placing the foot pedal over the foot pedal brackets and securing them with the two 1 1/4 inch drywall screws. And now we're ready to check out the finished product, making sure that the slider on the linear pot moves up and down smoothly as we rotate the pedal. Now I took it all apart again, painted it and put it back together, and added a few decals to pretty it up. Then I stopped at Walmart to pick up some adhesive back stair tread thingies, and I used one of them to create a non-skid surface on the foot pedal. Well, that does it. As you can see, it's fairly easy to make. But if you have any questions, or you'd like to see if I've made any updates, email me at this address. Hope you enjoyed it.